And I'll start that again. I'd like to thank you all for being here. And I'd like to, in particular, thank Stacy. A bunch of years ago in COVID, I read a poem in a Zoom meeting, and this unknown person asked me if I wanted to be a Tesoro sister, and I had no idea, and I was overwhelmed with life. And we exchanged a few emails, and I thought I would be interested, and then a year went by. And then somehow it came up on my radar again, and I contacted Stacy, and she let me know again what Tesoro was all about. It's about poets, in particular women poets or people who identify as women, using their voice to advocate and to be heard. And it's really important for us to have a voice and to share our voice. So through Stacy, I met Marissa, who became the publisher of my book, which we are gathered here today to celebrate the moon and all her faces. So I would like to read Stacy's bio, and then I'll ask her to get us going. Okay, and I'm flipping back and forth between different technologies. So Stacy Dyson is a Black woman who explores, illuminates the life and times of the Black woman. She is the founder and lead poet of Tesoro. Tesoro in Spanish and in Italian means treasure or jewel. With shows in Oklahoma, Massachusetts, California, Nebraska, South Dakota, Louisiana, Colorado, and Texas, she has released 6 chapbooks and 5 CDs. Her play, Fanny's Girls, a 4-1-1 and 5-part attitude, is a 2000 Colorado Women's Playwriting Festival winner. She is former Poet Laureate for Imagination Celebration in Colorado Springs, the CEO and lead poet of Dragon's Wing Colorado Springs, and Page to Stage Women's Voices of San Diego. And this is from the bio, so I'm not sure how current it is, but she was touring with her latest collection, Lovely and Suffering, and follow me on this, and building Tesoro, one fire singer at a time. I know she's got news about London, and I know she's got a new collection coming out as well, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, please, Stacy, and lead us in poetry.
Thank you, honey. Not a whole lot to tell y'all about that. The new book is still in manuscript form, but should be released by the end of next January. London is still on the horizon, but I'm working on it. And if I'm really, really lucky, because I'm never good, there'll be a play at the end of next year as well. So the pieces that I've got for you all today, first of all, since everybody's on screen, let me give some mad applause to Josephine because this is her day, her show. Clearly, one of the most, I say this about everybody, but it's always true, so I can say it. One of the most incredible artists I've ever worked with. This woman can capture a stage and a page like nobody's business. So give it up for Josephine one more time. And I will go ahead and pretend to regale you guys with a couple of poems from the new book. I have long maintained most open mics resemble an AA meeting, which thought was confirmed the night I saw in the chat, "Thank you for your share." And that's when I knew any line between the two is artificial. So please bow your heads for our prayer. God, grant me the serenity to not put a contract out on pretenders who are wasting my time, the courage to acknowledge spirit singers that the rest of the audience may not snap for, and the wisdom to know the difference. Before we even get started, a few housekeeping notes. Coffee and cookies are in the back. Please clean up for the next group. Parking out front is free till 10, and don't even worry about admitting you have a problem. You're a poet. Need we say more? Step 1, be humble and mean it. The Lord did not single you out. She just picked you special. Get your head around that. Step 2, sincerity or originality. Nothing else will do. If you borrow, bend the knee to their name. If somebody borrows, copies, or quotes you wrong without your consent, track them down put a curse on their bones, then call their mama and tell her it was you. That's right, scorch their earth and leave nothing behind. We'll wait. Step 3, quit kissing on that mic like it's an old flame you're trying to convince that it really was good and they know they need to come back for more. You want to put your mouth on something so bad? Drink every syllable and its intent deep into your soul and lay your lips accordingly. Step back and respect the sensation. I promise you, do it like you're meant and the intent will kiss you and the audience right back. Step 4, the pain is not going away. Just deal with it. Remember the worst day of your life. Dip your pen deep and write till blood runs from the tip. Don't stop until the pain is manageable because pain is not going away. Step 5, wrap your head around the most profound joy you've ever felt. Dip your pen deep and write till golden bright thought sparks, gratitude that breathes in flame and laughter and a sensation that you are all that and the absolute shit runs from the tip of your pen. Don't stop, just swallow and smile. Deal with it. The joy is not going away. Daily affirmation. Damn straight, this is a real job. That's right, I said it. So there. Step 6, this is most definitely not all about you. Really, it isn't. Stop thinking so. We'll wait. Step 7, get down on your knees and beg your ancestors' pardon for not calling their names and saying thank you after flowing a piece that you know calls fire down from the sky. There are no amends you can make. Just don't be stupid and do it again because neither your grandma or mine is having that. Daily affirmation. I will tell my truth today. I will open my soul to the truth today. I will not hide from that truth, no matter how not sweet, less comforting, non-pretty it shows itself to be. And if I fail in any of this, I will shut my mouth till I remember who I am and what I was born to do. Step 8, get your nose out of your notes, hold your head up and act like somebody raised you right. We don't care about your forehead, so quit showing it to us. Stand or sit straight, look us in the eye, and stop mumble talking. Stop leaning on your nerves or first times or this is new. Enunciate your glory, your homage, your knowledge, or the stories you are blessed to sing. And if I have to tell you again, we can call up your ancestors, your mama, and any possible descendants, see step 7, and have them explain real sacrifice to you. Step 9 comes in 3 sections. Part 1, do not explain your piece. Part 2, do not explain your piece. Part 3, please expect curled lip, pure ennui, and an enduring lack of interest if you explain your piece. Don't. And no, I am not saying please. Step 10, rinse, repeat, and remember step 9. I'm not saying I'm going to hurt you if you forget, but somebody will. Step 11, this is still not about you. Believe me. Daily affirmation. Know that the world is waiting for you to help them breathe, cry, or sing. Dream in that belief. Sleep in it. Then get on that stage, breathe deep, and let people know they matter. You care. Their needs be heard. You can message their heart. You can and must and will clarify how it is to live, survive, bleed, or dance in this space, in their space. Step 12, the Lord blessed you. Your ancestors, parents, partners taught you. This is a sacred charge. Treat it that way and do your damn job. Do our damn job. Open your mouth, breathe deep, look clear, and do your damn job.
Incredible.
And then the second piece. Y'all know I never bother with titles, and if you didn't know before, you know now. So I will not bother to give you the title. For the job on Academy, I had to call in twice the week before to speak to the office manager. She was nice. We got business done, laughed about some things. I didn't step in the office till the next Monday. She was polite, but confused. She thought I was in the wrong place because, quite honestly, Black folks were not seen that far up Academy Boulevard in those days. As I say, she was polite, but confused. She apologized, said she was waiting for the new receptionist, and when I said, I'm her, I'm Stacy. Before she could stop herself, the words came flying. You can't be. I spoke to Stacy twice. She's... Now, sometimes I'll let that go. Sometimes we all have to let that go. Sometimes I'm feeling playful or evil or just inclined to make folks finish, well, defend that thought. I'd had to get up early, fix up my hair, put on pantyhose, switch buses 3 times, and still walk in looking cool, calm, and creased, sharp enough to cut glass. I was not feeling generous. So I half smiled and let her swing. What I meant was, I spoke to Stacy twice and I just expected... She finally gathered her wits, stopped sputtering, and said, you just look so young. You sounded so much older on the phone. I just gave her the rest of that half smile and went to work. She was nice enough, but the relief when I finished that week was dense enough to touch. There is home talk and how to speak in public. If you are Black or of color, you know what's being talked about here. Because the world can be cruel, is judgmental. Parents, grandmas, aunties, all the elders bred, sometimes beat into you the way your mouth better hold syllables, depending on where you were. For some folks, it was to show off. Some folks, it was meant for education. Some just love the way high-flown sounds in the mouth, in the ear, on the wind. But for all of us, Black or of color, it was protection. That is the essence of code switching. It's not just about fitting in where you are. It's about saving time, saving embarrassment, saving your life. And like any skill, it is designed to save your soul or your skin a little bit. There have been whole chapters written, speeches given, studies done, but no one talks about how it hurts, how exhausting it is, how anger-making. It's like any other chameleon exercise meant to make you safe enough to get to where you can be alone or safe or free. In San Francisco, healing up from a broken heart, the city decided to welcome me with an earthquake. It wasn't bad. I'd been jostled harder on the stairs during school day fire drills. Listening to the DJ on the radio after, the DJ asked to call in if it was your first time. Was cracking on all the out-of-towners freaking over a few points on the Richter scale. I called in, laughed with him some, talked about how it made me kind of nervous to walk down the hill to the Italian bakery for a fudge cake, but sometimes you have to overcome for the important things. He said, it's cool you reached out. We don't get many white folks calling the station. I said, I'm not. What made you think that? It got real quiet for a pretty long time. The radio went to commercial. He came back on the phone and said, I'm sorry, you just spoke. You sounded... I didn't say a word. It's kind of insulted my own folks didn't know me. Kind of resigned to it too. After a minute, he said, thanks again for calling in. What's your favorite song? He played it when he went live again after the commercial. See, being double-tongued can work against you too. I've been made fun of, threatened for not sounding Black enough, have been told I'm trying to show off or act like I'm better. Get your nose out the air, girl. You know better than me. You better remember you're Black. Mm-hmm. I never forget. Believe me. I never forget how much those times left pain marks on my spirit. Believe me, because you don't stop to analyze how they might feel indignant or inadequate or can't take what really shouldn't be a surprise. You just remember being laughed at or called out or told you can't be Black sounding like that, talking like that. You play between Scylla and Charybdis. You can be their version of down or heed the voice of your parents, your aunties, your elders on what your voice is supposed to be. Okay, last example, courtroom hallway. I just finished testimony against Kelly. Some crazed chick had abandoned her baby for a crack house, then claimed kidnapping when we took Megan Chiffon to her grandmother 3 states over. Grandmother's lawyer went on and on about my testimony, how it was flawless, guaranteed to make the judge rule Grandma Lori's way. He pumped my hand up and down, smiled deep in my eyes, and said, "Where did you go to school?" University of Northern Colorado. Why? Because I'm always telling the street kids I work with that if they just learn to speak properly, it would make such a difference. I stopped smiling, took my hand away. He was too busy congratulating himself to notice. I regretted not answering that man for 30 years. I swallowed hard then. I'd shake his world and make him hurt now. I was polite then. I'm not now. I should have told him, should have lashed him into silence with the truth that I learned to speak that way at home. University added a little disdain, not polish or vocabulary. My parents had me trained before I got anywhere near university doors. Aunties and elders and my parents taught me how to speak to save my life years before I got to be insulted by white boy lawyers who automatically translated Black into ignorant, years before I got teased by my Black choir mates for using phrases I learned in books instead of words from dozens on the playground. Do I code switch? Of course. You cannot be Black or of color in this place and not do what it takes to fit in, save face, save your life. My parents and aunties and elders taught me how my mouth better holds syllables. The world taught me how to not expect anything but condescending praise or derision for being double-tongued. I pay the price in short-lived amusements or victories that taste sweet for a minute, or pain that leaves scars on my spirit for a minute, or a few years, or my life. All I have ever really wanted was the right to sing my voice, my words into the wind, make them land like burning silk or heat-seeking light to burn or bind wounds. All I'll ever want, all I will ever want is to be called as she who sings as she is, and let it rest there.
And if everybody wants to unmute and share some love with Stacy, thank you for sharing your truth with us. And like for me, having grown up in Canada and hearing that, I mean, it is foreign to me and it's so brutal and it's so heartbreaking, but thank you. So the group, I call the group typically Tesoro, but I think Fire Singers is part of it, right? Part of the name. So the right to sing your voice, to sing your voice into the wind, the right to speak your fire. So if anybody else wants to unmute and have some words or some love for Stacy, please go ahead. It's nice to see you here, Kate. Thanks for coming in.
I just want to tell her it is so relatable. I heard it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Real quick, my ex sister-in-law, who may she rest in peace, I guess, because she never liked me. But in any case, I will digress. Uh, in any case, she would call my ex mother-in-law's house. I answer the phone and I'm like, hello. And she says, who is this? I don't know why this happens in a lot of southern places, but needless to say, they'll ask you who you are and they're the ones calling. And I said, well, who are you? And finally, once we get around all of that real quick, I'll tell her this is Erica, and she said, "You sound like some white guy," is what she would say. And I just look at her, look at the phone. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you, Stacey, I relate to all of that because I heard that most of my life anyway, that I speak proper because I'm from Brooklyn and I don't have a heavy urban accent, but I've heard it all my life, so I can definitely relate to that.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna back up a little bit and talk a tiny bit about the book. I'll talk a little bit more about how the book came to be when I get to Marissa. But I wanted to say, for those of you who are not familiar with it, the title is The Moon in All Her Faces. And in general, the book in general terms is a contemplation on the different phases of life that we go through, because the moon is always there, but also always changing, going through different transitions. And I divided the book into 4 sections, starting with summer moon and ending with like going through autumn, winter, and spring. And for me, for many of us, summer is a period of growth and abundance. Autumn is the period of harvest and decline. Winter is a period of loss or quiet nostalgia, reflection, and then spring, of course, a period of rebirth. But today when I read, I won't be reading from each different section. What I've done is I've arranged the poems thematically. So I'd like to share 3 poems now with you before we go on to our next feature. And so the 3 I would like to read, and as you can see, I've got them all color-coded because that's the way I roll. The 3 I'd like to read are the moon poems. And so just to back up again a little bit, I start each section with a moon poem, and I end each section with a dream poem within a bonus poem at the end. So this one is called Ink and the Moon. Cradled on canvas, ink stains fingertips deeper than night's, while the moon, in her splendor, spreads a lacy veil across the sky, softening the path of stars. The second moon poem is based on the painting Starry, Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. Starry, starry night, I heard the poetry at night. The night I heard poetry, there was enchantment. There were swirls like an incantation, like magic. There was magic in the air. The sun, the orb that lights our day, the center of our universe had set, but the brightness of the sky had not diminished because the poetry was there. Sounds soothed and swirled, rhythms lulled and lingered, filling the gaps in me. Rhyme a primal music to my ear. Poetry glowed in that night sky. The moon that night reflected its light, shone brighter than it ever had. It was like the poetry was made of 1,000 moving stars, and the sky was bright, bright like waves, waves coming in and curling around themselves like a cat. I'm sure there were waves in the air that night, a kind of rapture that had something, that had nothing, that had everything to do with the rhymes, the rhythms, the sounds of poetry there in that night sky, the night I first heard the word. A scintillating mystery surrounded the words, encircling them like an irrepressible force of life, defying darkness, a constellation of sound poking through ink sky. Poetry annihilated the night, coursing through me like thrumming threads, energy, streaming, rendering my edges indistinct. A shimmer of sound loosened a twinkling within me, the tale of 1,000 comets, the night I first heard the poetry. Oh, starry, starry night. And the last poem from this set. Lessons. A single raven feather fallen from slate sky, presage to the storm. Crust of ice, shimmering pond, songless winter dawn. The wisdom of grandmother, a veil across the wizened face of the moon. This evening, a bobcat crossed my path, eyes coaxing me, toward the wilderness, I not yet ready to follow. In the end, grandmother no longer remembered any of our names. Having children, lesson 1 in letting go. In the beginning, prime numbers, then stirrings, somersaults, an elbow, jutting knee, the relinquishing. And now I nurture my own mother, the flame of her the flame of her hair faded to spun gold. Her mind a sticky web, misremembered, ransomed future. I lather her soft shoulders as she sits in the bath, scapular wings preparing to take flight. So I would like to introduce Teresa next. I have her bio here, and then I will say a few more personal words. Teresa Gallian is a seeker on a journey to work on unfolding spirituality in this present lifetime. Writing is a spiritual exercise for Teresa. Her passions are traveling the world and hiking the mountains and desert landscapes of the Western United States. Her journeys into nature are nurtured by the Sufi poets Rumi and Hafiz. The land is sacred ground and her spiritual temple, where she goes for quiet reflection and contemplation. She has published 4 books: Walking Sacred Ground, Contemplation in the High Desert, Chasing Light, a finalist in the 2013 New Mexico Arizona Book Awards, and her most recent, Scent of Love, a finalist in the 2021 New Mexico Arizona Book Awards. She has 2 CDs, On the Wings of the Wind and Poems from Chasing Light. Her work has appeared in numerous journals and anthologies. So I was friends with Teresa through, I believe it was Cultivating Voices, live poetry, where I first heard her words. And I followed her and love her work. And her wandering feet took her up to the Canadian Rockies. So I got to meet her a few summers ago. And we went to some waterfalls together and had a lovely day. And I had a chance to meet with her again last year when I was in New Mexico. And she took me to her sacred places. So I'm going to mute myself and pass it over to you, Teresa.
Thank you, Josephine. It's always an honor to share space with you. And we'll always have that wonderful memory of Johnson Canyon, which I would love to go back to. That bio is old. I guess we need to update our bios with Stacy. My most recent book is From Egypt, actually, which I published. What's this, 25 and 24? Actually, it's getting older. I say this, and some of you have heard it over and over, and I'll keep saying is I went to Egypt in 2022, and it had such a major impact on me that I wrote a whole book on Egypt, and it still resonates with me whenever I think of floating down the Nile River. So I'll read a couple of pieces from Come Egypt, and then I'm going to read a couple of newer pieces. Ancient Sightings. A songbird serenades my senses in the temple of Philae. I want to fill the hollow space in my heart with the embrace of Isis. How can I be here and there between my high desert home, and the desert of Egypt, shape-shifting like a hungry ghost? I can trace hieroglyphics and petroglyphs running back and forth between 2 divergent planes. My breath releases a soul riding on the fingertips of clouds above the Valley of the Kings in the Petroglyph National Monument. The thunder of color rides the ship of the desert, and I smile back at those fellows strutting in the sand. High-top boots strut near my home. Night approaches like a lost lover, and I am wired from Turkish coffee, screaming through my naked veins. I must silence the thunder. American cicadas and ancient Egyptian scarabs sing loud in the summer heat of their valleys. I want to trap this experience like a clawing honeysuckle and savor the exposure for life. Hieroglyphics and butterscotch. I drink from a cup with your imprint. I asked the goddess on the mountain, "Are you real?" She said, "Swallow and digest the love of angels swelling your belly. Your angel wings will grow." I take a sip and smile like the camels in my dreamboat. I am instantly transferred to Egypt. I hug the walls of hieroglyphics in Ramesses II temple at Abu Simbel and feel 1,000 moans call my name. I close my eyes and hug a ponderosa tree, smell butterscotch and vanilla bark. A New Mexico mountain massages my soul. Water lyrics. Waterfalls sing such beautiful lyrics. Sit beside a sacred waterfall. Close your eyes and absorb the lyrics of nature's choir. Serenade the soul, vibrate bones, send tremors through veins. Inhale the mist of bubbles floating on air, just a moment in time. Rejuvenate the spirit and rise, born again in nature's embrace. Now, Egypt keeps intruding on my waterfall dreams. Ancient desert sand unveils temples and tombs of a master civilization that grabs, holds tight, and speaks. Listen to the lyrics on the walls. They tell intimate stories thousands of years old. Mind melding, the ears of the present overwhelm the senses. In ancient history, so powerful, it is difficult for 21st century Homo sapiens to breathe in and assimilate. The mind tries to pull away from this intensity, floats back to its waterfall dreams, flowing into the Nile River and the Rio Grande. And I'm actually working on another book, so I'll read a couple of pieces that may make it into there. 1,000 steps. Love is 1,000 steps plus one. Let us start walking now to get ahead of those billion lanterns lighting up the sky. You are my anchor as I walk this pathway. I will only be afraid if I cannot feel your presence. I am bound to your commitment to stay close to me through all the shadows and valleys that burn. The pulse of the infinite hugs the chambers of my soul. I feel one with the undefinable spark of light from spirit. A symphony of silence touches me. I want to dance in the light, embrace the sound current, and feel love flow forever through me. The tale of light. Do not be jealous of your happiness. This is an ecstatic mountain that wants to nourish your soul. You need to go there. Start your walk at daybreak when radiance hugs the ground. Walk slowly between the light streams. Do not be swayed by judgmental stones. Stay focused on your ascent. There is a bucket overflowing with joy. It patiently waits to merge with you. Stay open to an endless possibility of bliss. The brighter the light shines, the more pleasure you will experience. Walk back down the mountain. Smile at all the humans you see. They will stare in awe at your glow and know not why. And the last piece is for the current state of affairs on planet Earth. This is called After the Apocalypse. At the end of the apocalypse, only young children stand. Spirit cleanses the earth of all other Homo sapiens. It is known they never learned to play together, never learned to love one another, never learned kindness to another. Never learn greed leads to destruction. Spirit saves only the innocent who know not the kiss of evil. The children cling to each other in a rainbow of colors, gazing on the shattered land. Spirit says to each one, I am giving you a chance to do better than your ancestors. Go forth and show me you are worthy to rebuild this planet. Spirit fades into the clouds, and the children hold tight to one another. They hold a flag that cannot save them. Will they learn to spread peace and love, or will they too recycle the violence? Thank you.
Teresa, I love your quiet power, and I could listen to you read all day. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I wanted to honor your reading with 3 travel poems that are included in The Moon and All Her Faces. So the first one is One Night in New Mexico. And for those of you who don't know it, I traveled last summer with my dog Bailey, a little Sheltie. So he's part of this story. One night in New Mexico, 2 a.m., words converge, settle like a cloak of cloud on the early morning rim of these mountains. Sandia, Manzano, Sangre de Cristo. They wear their history like the passing of the sun. A child's DNA lives on in the cells of the mother's brain, indelible. So too must it be for the shrouds of our dead, trailing heavy behind, cloak dragging in sand, leaving an imprint as indelible and ephemeral as the passage of desert snake. We cocoon in this space under a cloak of stars, muzzle to nose, and I realize how quickly your blood beats through your body as we sleep, muzzle to nose. Did we start off with the same number of beats? Our lives, do you run through yours more quickly, muzzle to nose? Although you see slowly in black and white, do we dream the same dreams? The second travel poem was from Portugal last summer as well. They mingle among us. So the title is Among Us. They mingle among us, our dead. In the aftershave of a passerby, the laughter of a young woman on a bus. They're in the red and yellow hibiscus that line the drive up to the door of the El Kites Hotel in Portimao. In the shape from behind of a grandmother on the beach, and the longing of the fado guitar, the yearning of the voice. In the marisco, fresh caught seafood simmered with roadside fennel, just like my mother made it. In the hard-boiled egg wrapped in a napkin in the bottom of my azulejo bag, waiting to be cracked and shelled. And the white-bellied swallows curving and turning, carving lazy figure eights under the slow caress of the Atlantic sun. And the third travel poem. Okay. My system is failing me. Here we go. The Pelican's Prayer. So last winter, end of December, I drove down to California with a girlfriend and with my dog Bailey, and we spent about 2 months, about 5 weeks in Leucadia, and then about 3 weeks in Oceanside. And it was my daily habit to go and walk along the shoreline of the Pacific. So this one is the Pelican's Prayer. Pacific, the sky the color of water, the color of faded slate, gunmetal, gloom, high tide, no sand visible, water smashing on rocks at the bottom of these cliffs, relentless, spumes rising in gray air. On their bellies in dolphin skins, surfers paddle out toward the breaking of the waves, their morning communion. A young woman in a red bikini, surfboard in hand, walks along the shore, looking for the moment and the courage to go in. The waves relentless, the sea claiming, driven by the waxing moon, the high tide. Above the edge of surf, water crests again and again before the breaking of bread, water into wine. A battalion of pelicans in line formation glide north, then circle back, their beaks a linger of their prehistoric selves, gliding, leaning in to dip the tip of wing in the sacred spray of the sea, a holy baptism. So for our next poet, I would like to introduce Erica, whose Instagram name is Brooklyn in the House. I met Erica last summer when I was staying with Marissa for the New Mexico Poetry Summit, and I was impressed by two things in Erica. Erica has a certain like outward hardness, like she seems very tough and very she told us that she was in the military, so that kind of made sense to me. But I got to see the other side of her. She's the mother of 4 children, and they're grown up into wonderful adults. And her poetry moved me so deeply. And I was impressed how somebody could outwardly have one persona, but really be such a sweetheart inside. So, Erica, if you would like to mention your accomplishments and everything else, I'm sorry, but I couldn't. I couldn't I wasn't sure about your bio. I couldn't find your bio on the Fire Singer side, and I'll hand the mic over to you. Thank you.
There isn't much to tell. I'm just happy to be alive. I turned 60 back in September, so I'm still trying to adjust to it. Um, what else can I tell you? I was in the Air Force for 1 term. I got to live in Europe for 6.5 years. That would be Spain, Germany, and Belgium. And also got to live in Colorado for 4 years, and then Maryland, and then here. What else can I say? Um, I am at least have one piece that is published in an anthology called The Case of the Personhood of Trees." So I'm trying to get my other book done. I finally, well, at least as of today, handed my last edits to my publisher. So please cross your fingers, prayer, light a candle, whatever you do to finally get this book out by December, because that was my objective. So I'm hoping this is it. I can't think of anything else at the top of my head right now, and I'll just get right into it. So first piece is Singing Through My Pen, and I probably won't give the titles to all of them because most of the time I don't give titles. I've always loved music and all that it encompasses: singing, dancing, how the instruments interact with each other, the various genres, giving us a smorgasbord for our moods, since they're ever changing, and through their consummation, they bring forth so many offspring that, unlike us, are immortal once born. I would love to believe that most of us live in the purpose of our gifts, but sometimes life has its curves and unexpected challenges. Sometimes, without provocation, we're targeted, and sometimes the consequences of that is tragic, forcing you to reinvent yourself to keep you from completely losing your mind. I'd like to believe that we all have a gift that we are to impart on society, something to validate our existence, to encourage our journey to continue on. In my journey, I lost the ability to work in gifts I thought I could keep. Anatomy no longer agreeable to what my brain commands. My voice no longer can follow the choreography of notes of past altos, so I had to change dance partners through my pen. It is now the tune that sings for me, for I am persuaded, for any good gift I embody, to leave its footprint long after I'm gone. Next piece. I lay here, finally, in deep sleep, wanting to wallow in the dimness of slumber, of my rest. But beyond my control, the evidence of life continues to busy itself with the task of the day. But beyond that, the break of dawn summons that there is work to be done. So the rooster crows, the cicadas chatter among themselves, and the birds discuss their plans, verbally orchestrating a crescendo of their own with no assigned conductor necessary. They are jamming with the instruments of their voices, creating their own harmony, with no one documenting their notes to sheet music, no one to police them, no noise ordinance to adhere to, motivating themselves in their own uniqueness. Each day it begins with a different rhythm, whether upbeat or downbeat, doesn't matter. They choose who will lead and who will do backup. They choose when they will come together in chorus, and they choose who will do the solo before sunset. They are unaware that they set the tone for us humans to start our day, ready or not. Daylight is burning before time. They are nature's alarm clock, a natural starter pistol to get us going, a reminder that we have been granted more time, more opportunity to accomplish some things. A reminder of the beauty of embracing what is free, the gifts of hearing, vision, chances, and our abilities, but also acknowledging that the day will grace us with its presence for just a little while. And soon the sun will take its rest to set as we require resetting, restoration, just to begin again, the new breaking of dawn. Next piece, unrequited youth. Daily, life is contemplated. What feats will I conquer in the present? What ways will I help heal those around me, including myself? How will I impart blessings onto those I encounter? How will I keep my sanity to not sink too deep into melancholy? But on the forefront of my thoughts is the shell that my soul inhabits. It betrays my inner fantasies routinely. And on this continuum, my mind battles in rebellion to this reality that my times around the sun cannot be denied. Yet in my truth, I am in denial. It is not ready to accept knees that no longer endure the tenacity it once did. A jawline growing more flaccid, my frame lacking the capacity and the agility and flexibility it once had. Breath that no longer has the longevity of equal rhythm in movement. Metabolism that no longer metastasizes against caloric intake. Epidermis that is lagging in stamina, demonstrating its weakness by showing lines of dialogue like a switchboard, awaiting connection to the appropriate extension, never ending, but static in reception, since brain and body lack comprehension in communication, in essence, making one think it's able Yet finding flesh is no longer capable of performing in that manner. Mind over matter is a wrap. Perhaps I should be grateful for the conversation which continues to play out. Grateful that as of yet, there is no disconnection. There are always new topics to address. Whether at the corner of my eyes, the dimples on my thighs, the furrows on my forehead and neck, short term memories in hindsight, I tried to recollect the lifeline that refuses to stay behind because it has a mind of its own, mode of travel through varicose streams. Although quiet, it's determined to be seen. It's low key in its arrival, so it doesn't have to scream. It appears stealthily in purple, blue, and green situations that were once palatable. I now have to digress from. Although they were once appetizing, I can no longer digest them. As I mature, my filter is becoming less and less. So not only do I lack in time, I lack patience for any mess that may cause me distress. My goal is to acquire and maintain my peace, realizing of late it may be the one thing I have control over before I am deceased. Next piece. Quite often, I'm reminded of my mother. My mind meanders in a chorus of memorable expressions, notably etched in the groove of my cerebral cortex, faintly replaying side B, but fickle as I tune into side A. Side A has its moments in vigor, energy, and potential. It is lively and faster in tempo, always hurried, more carefree. But there is something to be said about side B. It's smooth, wise, and appreciates what's important. Just mellow, so it's chill. My ego a bit bruised with side B, gaining momentum into my reality, but joyous that I'm not in jeopardy of forgetting the melody of days past. The clef notes are still accessible, remnants replicating what I thought could not be duplicated, yet in its way, sampling my dear mama. With every glance of my reflection, I see her. It's said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, yet priceless is the image that appears before me. And although I quietly crave a younger version of what is reflected, my eyes behold her legacy. Next piece, mulling over my memories. Melancholy moods mandated me motionless to meaningful memories, mercilessly mourning matriarchs in memoriam that have moved to their mansions many months ago, making me mindful of my mortality each morning, midday, and moon that materializes, never motionless, meticulous in its movement. Me, myself, mistakenly meandering minutes away that moments won't miraculously multiply, but will minus. Meanwhile, remembering, Marsh was my maiden moniker, mulling over the misguided missteps in matrimony, the misery of miscarriages that were too many. Meditative murmurings to my Messiah motivated me to maintain my mental, ultimately mesmerized by the miraculous metamorphosis of motherhood, made the misery more meaningful. Grateful the mission was manifested. 4 minions worth millions to me. Yet no more Mohicans moseying through my middle passage. Menstruation met its demise. And meanwhile, menopause is masterfully messing up my mojo. Last piece, the journey. This journey began as if traveling by rowboat, coasting without oars. Unbeknownst to me, I was called to a destiny without the luxury of free will. In other words, there was no option to request my existence. So here I am, chosen to complete a task that I believe I have yet to fulfill, since up until now, I continue to greet the day with breath. It is my belief that I am not finished yet, so I tarry on in hopes that I bless those who encounter me, in hopes that I do everything with sincerity, in hopes that my mere existence can bring change for the better, in hopes that I've learned from past errors, in hopes that I remain humble in all that I achieve, in hopes that I have no regrets before I leave, in hopes that my children know beyond reasonable doubt that I did my very best in loving them, in hopes those that encounter me will see God in me, or at least a glimmer of Him, in hopes that the foundation I planted in my seeds were firm, in hopes that I made a positive difference, in hopes that somehow I exude an aura of peace and not chaos, in hopes that I get a well done, thy good and faithful servant, because currently it appears that my mode of transportation has changed to a locomotive train, soon to transition to an airplane, one way, no baggage, leaving the way I came, home.
Erica, beautiful. You brought me right back to the summit where I sat in my chair and listened to you, and I just was overwhelmed and just blown right out of my waters. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Before I introduce Marissa, I would like to read my next set. And my next set is actually going to be poems about my family. So just a little bit of background. When I came to New Mexico, I had the book that had just been published in my father's house, and it's a chapbook. And a lot of these poems deal with the time, like they're family poems. My family's from Sicily, Italy. I was born in Toronto, but first generation Canadian. And some of these poems have to do with my father's illness and his passing away. And I was still very much in my grief. So Marissa encouraged me in asking if I wanted to submit poetry to her to publish, which is where my first full book, The Moon and All Her Faces, came from. And there were some poems that came, the family poems, and they came about a year, I would say, at least a year after my father's passing. So I would like to start with two of those poems and then read a poem about my mother, and then I'll introduce Marissa properly. This one is called My Word for Rain. And there's one thing in here I would like to describe, even though I know we're not supposed to explain our poems, right, Stacey? And I'm just catching myself. I started without an acknowledgement of land. I usually proudly acknowledge that I live and work on lands that were traditionally inhabited and traversed by centuries by the indigenous peoples of this land, including but not limited to the groups that are known today as, or call themselves today, the Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Nakota, the Kainai, the Siksika. And I learned that the Tsuut'ina from this area of southern Alberta, where I live, are known as the Dene, in the southern states, and they're maybe more commonly known by the name the Spaniards gave them, which is Navajo. So just to talk about the connections. So in this poem, I've referenced the Sundance. The Sundance is a gathering, a celebration, a tradition that's very strong in the indigenous tradition. And I asked, because I have a friend who is indigenous, I asked when it happens, and she said, well, it's not a set day in the calendar. It's a certain amount of time after a certain event. So when I reference Sundance, I'm not talking about the film festival. My word for rain. My father was the silence before thunder, the heavy slap of rain upon the roof, veranda, 2 chairs, canopy of maple, the steady drip from leaves, ovate, sinuates, neighbors dry behind closed doors. My father was the puddle that swelled, soaking feet and socks, rubber soles, canvas tops, rivulet coursing towards great to rejoin inland sea before being pulled back up into cloud and fall back down upon the ground. I have come to live in a place where rain is rare, the sky china blue, eggshell blue, sapphire, moisture dispelled before the rise of the Rockies, and the earth below hungry for rain. I have since traveled to places where rain fills the woods, seeping into root of cedar, perfuming the night, anchoring giants onto slope, rivers engorged, cascading, have fallen asleep to the lull, to the rush. The first storm on the foothills heralds the Sundance. The first peoples knew of its augury, felt it in their drums, in their skin. My father is a prayer for rain. The next poem from the same section is The Burning of the Dead. And again, this one was written at least a year after my dad passed. I never made a fire for you. I lit a candle, yes, but not a torch, a conflagration, a soundless howl against the infinite of night. I could not burn your things, the lists you wrote, the clothes you wore that held the secret of your scent. Instead, I tied these all with a roughened rope of memory, made a raft, and some nights float out into the sea of endless stars. Listen for the way you play guitar, strains soft and sad, your voice pure and light, an offering to gods. Why then do I wake to ash adhering the lashes of my eye, ashes in the side part of my hair, the grit of ash at back of tangled throats? And the next poem is dedicated to my mother, and I'll just show you its shape. So it's, sorry, not that one. It is kind of center aligned on the page, and it's called Kaleidoscope. Brilliant bursts of broken, sapphire, emerald, amethyst, lapis lazuli, aquamarine, amber, jade, ruby, topaz, each quarter turn, reconfiguring, realigning, revealing the brilliant bits of my mother's broken mind. Okay, so now I would like to introduce Marissa. Marissa Prada is a poet, author, spoken word artist, mother, and publisher from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She is a graduate of New Mexico State University and was nominated for the Albuquerque Poet Laureate in 2024. She has been featured and published multiple times locally and internationally, and most of her writing involves social justice advocacy. Marissa is the founder of Red or Green Books, and there's their little logo on my little book. And she is the creative director for The Word is Right, spelled W-R-I-T-E. She has 3 books of poetry. So I had the great pleasure of seeing Marissa live and in person last year for the first time on my famous road trip. and she asked me if I wanted to submit a collection for her press to publish, and it's been an honor and a pleasure working with you, Marissa. Really, you made this dream come true for me. So I'm gonna mute myself and pass over the mic.
Oh, this book is, you guys, you just have to get this book. And more broadly, so many Tesoro sisters have been published through Red or Green Books, and you can get the whole collection of Tesoro books that we've published, and we donate a large portion of those sales to Tesoro. So I'm waiting for someone to just order the books, because 6 or 7 of those books have been nominated for pushcart prizes, including Shaki, who is in the room today, who you'll hear from. Her book was nominated for 2 pushcarts, poems in there, and so it was wonderful. So let's go. Let's get this thing done. Thank you so much, Stacey, for holding the space and for not putting us on the list of people you want to go after because you love us and our sassiness. So I definitely appreciate that. And yeah, I'm blessed to be here with all of you incredible poets who push me to get to tomorrow. So thank you. This is a brand new poem. Oh, and I just wrote this like last night, literally. This is for my daughter, Isa. Somewhere along the lines of your hands are the soft caresses of my grandmother, the sharp, spiteful strikes of my mother, and the familiar folly of my own, crafted by purpose your breath bore to their light. When I held you as my own, and you cried, but never permanently mine, only your shepherd. Watchful eye and teasing smile for all who never understood us anyway. Daughter, life changer. The best thing to leave the world a better place. Our ancestors run through you now, tunneling ant colonies towards change. I have to believe you will know love. I have to believe you will fight for peace. You've seen the lack of both from my weakness, from those sworn to love us. But from darkness you erupted into this madness, stoking a strange kinship with challenges, and so we rise, my child, for each other, for all who do not wake today, who grieve and rage and enraged at back then. I say, rise up, rise so high the sun finds jealousy, and the moon admires your shadow. Rise so that others believe flying isn't just for the immortal, but for believers. Remember, your hands are for building, holding, creating, and welcoming life from darkness. For our lines run wild and free from all attempts to erase our existence. We are proof of each other, always. I love you always, and always we will find each other in the lines of our hands. It's so new, it still gets me. All right. I'm going to do this because Josephine requested family. So I'm going to do this fun piece, and then I'm going to hit you before I leave. But it'll be in the heart. So I hope you take the sensations of today with you. This is a prompt I wrote in August at a local writing workshop, an open mic called Thirsty Ear. The prompt was snakes in unexpected places. Greg, I'm not sure if you were there at that writing prompt or not, but this is a poem I have grown to love. So thank you so much, Don McKeever, for having that space here in Albuquerque. The hallway in our house was very long, probably 5 or 6 doorways along the corridor, a hollow floor that creaked beneath your feet, one bedroom halfway down, with a gray shag rug that hugged the toilet. The sliding doors of the bathroom went sideways into the wall. Always fascinated me like a special trick that only existed in our home. I would lock my sister in there sometimes using a screwdriver. She would scream and cry, and I would laugh and then rescue her. It actually sounded a lot like my dad. One day, summertime mountain Sunday, I ran to that bathroom in a fury of child sweat, and holding it too long, I sat, and a wave of relief moved through my body. I must have been 7 years old, but I can't ask my dad anymore, so I'll make it up in my mind. As my version of the story goes, I took a big breath, about to reach for the tissue when, true story, the shag rug began to move. Even though my feet could not touch yet, from beneath its grip came wriggling out a Tyrannosaurus Rex size baby garter snake. So casual, so inconsiderate. Like I wasn't trying to finish and go about my playtime. I blinked. Don't remember breathing until a shrill, operatic screech bellowed from my body, and I yanked up my knees, landing backwards in a toilet basin with a cold splash on my ass. I looked down, but it was gone, and I was locked in the toilet. Dad! 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 I screamed. I probably wasn't as brave as I'd like to imagine, and I won't lessen the mess I was in for the sake of this story, but to understand, my dad was a suit and tie man. He may not have known how to wield a wrench and hated any form of pet hair. So when he ran down the Olympic hallway with elephant pounding feet, and I'm sure his heart skipped many beats, he rushed into the bathroom, only to find me in the toilet. All I could do was point to the floor. He grabbed my arms. I tried to tell him. He couldn't hear me, upset at the mess I was in, when suddenly that epic, massive behemoth of a baby garter snake popped up to say hello. Probably as panic-stricken as I was now when my dad realized the world was about to end. He dropped me back down into the toilet, and I let out the most childish, ghostly holler I ever experienced, like when his Mets won the World Series over Boston in 1986. He backed up and backed away, and still I could not move, the water cold and sloshing, covering my back and shirt, and gross and ew. Dad, get it! I don't want to die. He disappeared, then came back with a broom and a dustpan. Oh my God, this man. He coaxed this mammoth, colossal baby garter snake onto the dustpan, holding it far from his body. He was not a tall man, but I swear his arm grew 6 extra feet. Then he turned and busted out of the bathroom and disappeared again. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes in child time. I wiggled, still wedged and wet and hurting now. I managed to lift myself up and out of the toilet, but as my feet landed on the gray shag rug, I jumped up and fell over from the pants around my feet, scooted on my bare butt all the way out of the bathroom to the hallway, like something out of the Blair Witch Project. I stood, shaky camera and all, pulled up my pants, and my dad returned and told me, as casually as a neurosurgeon facing a brain tumor, "I'm the president. It's gone. Remember to flush." Then walked away like he had just saved the world. And indeed, he did that day, at least for me. But I didn't go back into that bathroom for 3 more years. I love that poem. It's just so much fun. All right, I'm going to try to get through this, Stacey, without going over time. But if you grant me 30 seconds, I would appreciate you. This time of year, I tend to read this poem. Is from American Graveyard Volume 1. This is titled Uvalde. This is what set everything in motion for the American Graveyard Revolution. Volume 2 will be out. If not by the end of the year, it'll be out in the spring. Uvalde, 2022. God was the first to cry. I have to believe that God was the first to cry as gunshots rang out once more inside an elementary classroom. A lot of finger pointing over dead children who should be finger painting with their families this summer. Have the balls to point that finger at yourself and say you done fucked up. Even if you visit the grave of every dead child, teacher, for the rest of your life, it would never be enough to atone for your total inhuman paralysis. School bells ring. Are you listening? Children scream. Can you hear them? Here we go again. Since nothing has changed and your kids won't make it home today. What happens when the bells toll again and children have to return? Have to use red crayon to create on paper instead of paint their faces with blood to survive. How different will the bell sound? Do we go back to writing names inside clothes for potential positive IDs? I have to believe that God was the first to cry, staring at the clock, counting the 74 minutes and 8 seconds man's fundamental failure to separate bullets from bodies, from burials of babies again. Active shooter call. Are you listening? Teachers plead. Can you hear them? You stand in the hall. No intention at all of saving the lives inside. Do you freeze every meal dropped at your house or just throw it away? What happens when there is one less to eat at the dinner table, one less on the Christmas card in December? What will Santa do with all those extra presents? What happens with the stockings hung with care and sprinkled sugar cookies meant for reindeer? The report came out. Did you read it? You did nothing, and they all died. Their blood is on your hands, 'cause you didn't do your job, and one day God will judge you. I have to believe that God has not stopped crying since we are all made in his image and our grief will never stem. We need to demand some real change. We walk in every parent's nightmare of America's Kevlar corruption since her body count is clearly not enough yet. So please, never forget when the school year begins again. School bells ring. Can you hear them? Kiss your kids every morning and pray to pick them up at the end of the day and hold them tighter than yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. I think that's the first American Graveyard poem I've ever heard recited. I read, and I'm really moved. And with your permission, I'm going to share the one that didn't make it into the second anthology, and it's completely my fault. Marissa had asked for a poem, and I wrote one based on something I witnessed in my travels. And I was so keen on the poem that I sent it someplace else too, and they managed to publish it before Marissa could. So it's not in the American Graveyard Anthology, but it's called He Drew a Gun and is a true story. So before I introduce Shelley, he drew a gun. He is just 7, homeschooled by parents that run and serve out a small mall, sandwich shop, quiet California town. Homemade bread, homemade dessert. His name the same as the brand proclaimed on his t-shirt. Helpful, kind, sweet, inquisitive, not scared of strangers and grown-ups. Well, I guess especially grown-ups with graying hair and a dog. He asked if I could draw. My repertoire small. He asked me to draw him a police car. I drew him one with a cherry on top. He drew for me a tank with whatever they are called firing. I drew him a dinosaur in the water, magnificent tail. He drew me a gun. I drew him a flower, a butterfly, a ladybug. He drew me things that shoot, things that kill. I drew him a bunny rabbit with pointed ears, a kitty, a snail. He drew me a gun. As I say, true story. Alrighty. So before Shelley reads, I'd like to share the next set, which is poems that are kind of, I'm going to call them fantasia poems, fantasia in Italian. Here we go. Perseids and ports. So Perseids is a midsummer meteor shower that we experience here. Mid-August dusk, heat dissipating in the cool kiss of snow from the mountains beyond. If the skies were clear, perhaps we could see Perseids peppering the nights, far from this ubiquitous curtain of light, the rise in this road welcoming, celestial dome, a flourish of stars in the sky. Perhaps this night our eyes will feast upon the dance of light, as this ruby dram of port warms that unnameable ache in our throats. Equinox. The dog is mad at the howl of wind and is barking my head off. 3 more sprout in its place. 1 for the shroud of yesterday, 1 for the strangle of tomorrow, the 3rd stunted, low brow, uneven teeth for the mess that is now. I want the dog to stop, but he must bark as I must pull the tomatoes that will no longer ripen on the vine, for it is equinox, and maybe tonight I should offer the soft, naked animal of my body, thank you, Mary Oliver, to the waning moon, but maybe not tonight. Skunks skulk in the hood, enticing lovers with a jab of their musk. What kind of lover would I attract if I were a skunk? Grackles fill the yard, the shallow cement bath, the feeder, the lawn flecked with fallen gold, and then fly up like a torment to sit on the fence while they decide what next. They were okay with me coming back out with my camera, clouding again the rim of the fence, but gave up when the cat appeared. The dog, 2 legs good, 4 legs not, and those heads, those tumbled heads littering the lawn, crowded with a flocking of grackles and unripened tomatoes, and the pears that fell to the ground, soft flesh but rotten center. Is everything in life a metaphor? And the apples, puckered, were bitten by frost. Last year, baskets and baskets, but this year only 3, 4, and it is only pity that plucked them and brought them inside. Maybe tonight I should strip to my skin and lob them, one by one, at the unforgiving moon. Would they come rolling back at my feet? And I'll choose one of these 2 to end up this section of fantasia. Okay, I'll read this one. Winter flowers. Dusk deeper, midwinter, the sky slipping from soft dove to pigeon to flicker, and deeper yet to raven. The blink of winter planets crisp as the light that rings rooftops, engulfed by the night. Silence no enemy to solitude. In the glow of a kitchen, they waltz in congelation. Her cheek soft against the gristle of his chin, the scent of her hair, his hand rough, yet secure in the space in the small of her back, while on the window pane, frost etches winter flowers. So I'm not sure how much winter you get down in Albuquerque, but I would like to introduce our next reader. And it is Shelley Badass Barnett, whom I met in Silver City last year. And she's fantastic, just fantastic person, fantastic hostess, fantastic poet. Shelley began her poetry writing at 9 years old, emulating the whimsy of Ogden Nash, Dr. Seuss, and Lewis Carroll. It was then she was introduced to an electric typewriter and onion skin paper. Rhymes with texture combined with twisting and turning reality into fantasy became her signature style. College years took her writing through the real world of love, lies, and loss, with metaphors of disco balls and traffic accidents. Life took her towards the art world, supporting artists with strong messages about current affairs and off-the-wall imagery that gave viewers temporary escapes. She considers herself a bi-poetic possibilitarian, creating poems about the beauty of nature that surrounds her in the wild southwest corner of New Mexico, as well as speaking her mind against injustices of the world and healing trauma with words. She has been included in the first Silver City Anthology of Summer 2023 and her first book publication project, Upward Spiral, an anthology by 4 Silver City women, was launched in November of 2023. She is currently working on her first solo book with a goal of May 2025 publication. You'll have to tell us if you met that. Miss Badassia hosts 3 monthly open mic events in Silver City, including the one that I went to, the Zocalo. Yeah, okay, just a second. I kept a coaster. There we go. New Mexico, and is a co-creator of the Silver City Poetic Outlaws. The group was created to provide brave spaces for open mics with open minds and has been growing in diversity and numbers in its first year. She also enriches young students in poetry at the local Montessori school, as well as encouraging emerging writers to share their potent offerings with the community. Her participation in the 2024 New Mexico Poetry Summit has stoked her inner fires to epic proportions and created connections that promise new adventures. She recently purchased a 1965 Smith Corona electric typewriter and was given a stack of onion skin paper from her dear origami artist friends. All is possible. Shelley.
Thank you. Thank you, sisters. Oh, goodness. Okay. First one, morning routine change. Walk in each morning in deep meditation, but sometimes my body says no to arising. So it's then I decide it's deep meditation, for me, physical compromising. 7 minutes is all I need, is what they say. 7 minutes, eyes closed, breathe into your day. Not turning on my phone or anything else electric. Thinking about my day as eclectic and not hectic. Lately, I confess, my minutes seem to go beyond 7. 13:21, just a few more starting to feel like heaven. Hearing blind old pups stirring, needing my attention, a jaunt outside in darkness, a treat back to sleep dimension. Divine smell of coffee brewed entices me to caffeination. I'm walking slowly back to bed. Is this part of meditation? Crawling into bed covers, I consider procrastination of lists of things that I must do, and I ponder self-preservation. And now I'm distracted, thoughts of world situation. So I turn on my phone with some dreaditation. But at least, hey, I got out of bed. The next one was from a prompt from our sister, Genevieve Ray. Is it still okay to dream? American Dream is no longer on my big screen TV. This car, that house, and every beautifully designed piece of rug, tablecloth, rug, lamps, rug on Wayfair, at Target, and all the other non-DEI corporations mean nothing. This is reality. My home will never be an Architectural Digest, or even Sunset Magazine, or on HGTV. American dream can only dream of staying American, feeling my roots still stretching for support while being broadsided with the White House circus ringmaster's whip as I watch my neighbors become shackled like elephants and the freak show begins with press conferences and tank parades and there's not enough hot dogs for everyone and everyone's allergic to peanuts and wake me up from this nightmare. Is it still okay to scream? This one I wrote for between August and September. Um, well, actually, Andrea Gibson's death really hit me hard. And then August 27th, my favorite aunt, second mother, died. And a month later, her oldest brother, sibling, passed away, who was like a father to my brothers. So this was for my Aunt Yolanda. Some things I don't want to accept, August 27, 25. Truly gone, I no longer tell myself I should call you, hear your voice, check in with you. Now you're checked out of this crazy world. Unacceptable, yet it cannot be reversed. Is this one of those times in life when one doesn't ask permission, only forgiveness? Your conversation about leaving was just between you and God, permission granted, but none of us were ready. You peacefully slipped away, asleep for days as we all held on to invisible threads, tugging our heartstrings, while you held on to your children's hands, your grandchildren's hands, and great-grandchildren's hands, passing on wisdom, joy, and so much love through your strong, warm, yet motionless fingers, generating faint heartbeats for days. In those moments of transitional slumber, I imagine your body held on to memories, heartbeats, breaths, memories, heartbeats, breaths, then heartbeats, breaths, heartbeats, breaths, heartbeat, heartbeat, thump, breath, breath, sigh. Memories of you are what we hold inside ourselves now. So many heartbeats with you, catching breaths between laughter of shared joy and comfort of our pain and sorrows. We comfort each other now with so many memories filling this room. I'm attaching mine to stars every time I look for you in heavens of night. Te quiero, mi familia, mi amiga, tia Yolanda. Memoria, latido del corazón, caliento. Te quiero, te quiero, te quiero. I've been practicing a little bit of learning Spanish since it is part of my heritage and, Bad Bunny. So anyway, um, let's go. So this one was a favorite song redo prompt, and hats off to Louis Armstrong. I saw skies of blue, and then I didn't. Clouds, so many gray clouds. I'm wishing for bright, blessed days, or even just a few hours in every other day. I think to myself, our world needs more wonderful, now more than ever before. Trees so green, 50 shades of green until they are not. I hear babies, so many babies cry. I hope they grow. I hope they'll teach us all more than we know. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, but painted over in streets and we all ask why. I see friends shaking heads, screaming, what can we do to turn all this hatred into I love you? I think to myself, Mr. Armstrong, is this that wonderful world? Oh, yeah. Okay, so I have one more. And this was written for Dia de los Muertos. For a vigil, we were honoring the battalion and the buscaderos, the women that go down, and the battalion, they rescue, they look for missing immigrants that are tried to cross the border. They work on both sides of the border and hike in and find belongings and bones and try to close the gaps, but it's a very difficult task that they do, and it's been an 8-year project. And anyway, this is called Vida Mejor, a better life. Wishing for vida mejor, wondering when, where, worrying sobre la familia, waiting for word, wondering where, when. Now buscaderos wandering desert land chance upon, happen upon, stumble upon some things in the wrong places. They scout out, ferret out, and dig out bottles, empty, blistered by sun, backpacks undone, bras and more, belongings with bag checks of DHS. Baby bottles, baby blankets. But where are the babies? Will mothers hear their cries forever in these desert winds? Some mothers' bones scattered about, holding separation anxiety from a cuerpo, a body that once was whole, a body that existed for her familia, protecting her niños, running to El Futuro beyond this desert land. Her corazón torn from her pecho, as her niña was torn from her brazos. Lugar equivocado, en el momento equivocado. Wrong place and wrong time. We are wondering where, when is lugar correcto, momento correcto. Wondering when remains cease to be cast-offs and become closure por las familias that are still waiting, wondering, worrying, wishing, while battalion and buscaderos todavía están vagando, vagando, are still wandering, wandering, wishing for vida mejor. Thank you.
Shelley, you brought me right back. And it was actually, I don't remember if it was Silver City, but it was a conversation I had with somebody about the people that go and try to find the remains in the desert. And I was actually inspired, and I did write a poem about that. I don't think it's in the moon, but I will read it now. Rio Grande. Rio Grande serpenting through these southwest lands like cicadas rattling the setting of the sun. Rio Grande, waters clouded, dreams muddied by those who dare navigate toward this beacon land of liberty. So much desert to cross. Yucca, prickly pear, choyas, skeleton punctuated as if by crucificial nails. You walk these parched lands under shadeless sun, searching, rescuing. In the desert you find carrion, bones plucked clean, unidentifiable skulls, a single blue bra. Rio Grande, Rio de lamento, de misericordia, Rio de perdición. O Rio of unrepented, desiccated, desecrated dreams. Thank you for bringing that to mind. I hadn't thought about that poem in a long time, actually. Okay, before I introduce Shaki, I would like to read a series of dream poems. So I've got to do this, get that ready. Okay, The Moon in All Her Faces. I wanted to do a little bit more of a shout out to Marissa, who helped me find visuals. So here we have the moon in all its different phases. And then for each of the sections, summer moon, autumn moon, we had the moon in a different state, like waxing, waning, all of that. Oh, you've got it open too, wonderful. And then the moon was in different spots on the page. And she also found this really beautiful graphic here with the moon above sunflowers. So just, it's not, maybe not that clear, but there we go. So dream poems. Dreamscape. Blue horses hiss in fields of hip-high grass as feathered fish fly across a night-bound sky. The tiger and the jackrabbit gaze at slivers of moon. Stars give chase in wild willow wind. The same wind calling my name through time, echoing my mother's name, my grandmother's, her grandmother's, this wild willow wind calling us each to this place. The origin of dream. Dream was born of darkness, collision of sperm and egg, multiplication of cells, long division, long before the beat of time. Dream witnessed the invention of story, narration, crackle, kaleidoscope, weightlessness. In the middle of his life, Dream wandered where prickles nestle alongside longing, undulating ocean, river, raindrop, tear. Dream took to the road, a liminal voyage between reality and wanna be. Dream hooked up with wild girl, wet rings on the bar, sloppy kisses in the dank hall leading to back lane. His hand, her thigh, his searing tongue. Dream is weary for repose, buzzing hours of wakefulness, wishing for relief beneath velvet curtains of sleep. Dream now lives in a painting by Chagall. Wild girl poet, wild hair, bare breast on a wild blue sea, a trance blue horse. Dream spares no one, saves no thing, never safe from the blacklight rod of divination, 10-blade carving flesh. Dream cries out, something needs to be done. We stare into the starlessness, wonderless and spent. And the third dream poem, Into Panic. When I wake up, this one is dedicated to and inspired by Leonard Cohen. Into panic. When I wake up into panic, my heart racing, my mind blank, I search for your slender collection, the first book of my New Testament, open at random, certain that you and the nameless gods of revelation will know what I crave. Like a cigarette, I strike a match to your words, inhale deep, letting the burn light a path to my stone soul. Your voice gravelly smooth, like a hand sliding between silken thighs. Like tulips picked too early, set in tall blue vase in southern window. I watch and wait for warmth and water to coax them into bloom. So, Shaki G, those of you who have heard Shaki G will never forget the experience. She is like, volume out of 10 is like 12, intensity out of 10 is like 15. And instead of a bio, Shaki G just wants me to say, sometimes write stuff and says it out loud. So here we are, Shaki G.
Thank you, thank you. Also lower your expectations, guys. That was a crazy bio. Definitely go get your copy of The Moon and All Her Faces for Red or Green Books. And then when you're there and you go, dang, I still got some money left over, head over to shakigpoetry.com and buy one of my 2 collections. One that was also published with Red or Green Books. All right. I picked this first poem because when I asked what we should read to commemorate her collection, Josephine said something about trees or flowers and plants. So I guess I'm doing it wrong. Successful poets write about nature, trees, flowers, birds. The truth is, I tried to write about trees once, but I could not ignore the bodies hanging from it, buried under it. Once I wrote a poem about a forest on fire, about choking on all the air we have left to breathe. I likened it to how America always has its hands around our throats, about the flowers that grow above our graves, cactus, backstabbed and beautiful roses that are actually women growing thorns so men can't pluck them when they please, about caged birds, Jim Crows, bald egos, about the wings of justice, how I wish freedom could fly in open skies. But they say no, not like that. They say maybe write something about the beauty the earth has to offer. And I wrote about a grave, how the earth welcomes our bodies back to it after all we've done to destroy it. How somehow I can see the beauty in death, but living always seems to have an asterisk by it. I'm sorry. I cannot write about a bouquet of flowers without talking about the soil it came from. Cannot pretend it's only beautiful after it's been removed from its home. Like gentrification ain't the first step towards genocide. Sure, I may hide it behind a metaphor, but I cannot hide it from the truth. They say you won't be a successful poet if you can't make people smile. But I remind you, some of the best poets weren't famous until they died. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I can't sing, but I feel like this song is a good. All right. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. The poet's stage is a mortuary where all the built up trauma goes to die, dressed in black and the macabre, a funeral procession of mourners following the one with the most views. When social media becomes the wake, look at the body in its most vulnerable state. Harakiri, a soft suicide, dropping our entrails at the mic. Nah, I need a homegoing. Sing me some glory, pass plates of praise at the repast, and burn your tongue on something happier. Dance me some gratitude, till my bones shake to the rhythm and my heart decides to join. Give me a reason to live again. Laugh me some hallelujah, belly bouncing. Poets, start the refrain somewhere at the beginning, before the song became a Negro spiritual, when it was just ours, just rhythm without the blues, a jazz band in the French Quarter, both beautiful and haunting. Remind me why we picked up these pens in the first place, when we had something to say and speak into existence. Manifest me a new reality. But his melanin is celebrated as much as these words be. Sing, sing us all some glory. This next piece is the titular piece of my latest book, Exit Wounds and Bullets and Butterflies. My modern day Cupid carries an AK-47, bullets that burst into butterflies in the stomach, caterpillars cocooning into the crevices of capillaries. My love looks like a heart, beating itself up, bloody and bruised. This is not to say that love should hurt. Just lately, I've been dying for a chance to be with you. The ecosystem of my gut biome flutters so hard, it triggers my anxiety. Is this a crush or a panic attack? Both give me sweaty palms and take my breath away. Maybe it's my asthma, but I really think it's your beauty. And when you see these hands shake, I just hope you pick up on the vibes. You got me making payments to Cupid for a hitman like her right there, because I'm too afraid to shoot my own shot. So I ride shotgun through the city for you. I got an alibi in my pocket waiting for you to scribble your number across it. If I am guilty of anything, it is burying the bodies of relationships before they have the chance to bloom. Butterflies and bullets blossoming in this body like a bouquet. I hope you smell the roses. Hold me like your favorite flower and pick apart my petals, questioning, she loves me. She loves me not. Bitch, I do. And I've got the exit wounds to prove it. So please, pull me into the trauma unit that is your heart and let us heal Cupid's wrath together. Don't leave me to bleed out on this stage, alone, another casualty of love. I think I was a dinosaur in another life. I find myself staring at the sky and expecting disaster, unable to focus on its beauty. And maybe this is where my idea of attraction comes from. I was raised on poison, afraid to trust big asses and smiles. The first meteor to rock my world left a crater where my heart should be. So I spend years chasing dirty women to fill it. I'm a Grand Canyon wannabe, crying tears to keep the Rio Grande flowing. If you swim in the deep end, you might find my first body's fossils, wishing for another chance at life. Put my smile on display at the Museum of Broken Hearts if you ever want to see it again. Studying paleontology and love have got to be so similar. Digging to preserve the past, like it'll show us our future. See, I'm in my Mesozoic era, and I'm looking for a Triceratops that also bottoms, willing to give me a chance. It makes sense. I get stuck in amber brown eyes, say nothing. I'm just trying to preserve what's left of my heart. I only got 2 more pieces. I'm gonna try to make it quick. She asks why I never buy her flowers. Like, I ain't build a whole garden in her honor, fill it with the butterflies from my stomach. She says something about love languages. And I tell her I'm not bilingual. I only speak in body language because actions speak louder than words. She says, if I never bother to translate, then everyone I sleep with is a stranger, an immigrant in a forgotten land, a primitive type of love, only speaking in grunts and moans. We can only speak in tongues for so long before the conversation climaxes. And maybe she is right, subjecting love to Darwinism. So one day, my heart will be an uninhabited island if it does not evolve. So now, I buy her roses. Hope that one day her wedding ring is made from this Rosetta Stone, because sometimes love just sounds good. And last one. Oh, is that time? Is that what oh, okay. I don't know. We call it the Black experience, but we're not a monolith. So these poems, they don't sound the same. See, this poem ain't got no joy, no Negro spirituals playing in the background, but still, it sounds like a prayer. a cry for freedom. It's got a little Nat Turner in its chest and a little Uncle Tom in its metaphor, but still black, still proud, still scared I might become an open casket before the next open mic. What they don't tell you is if you make it past 25, every day starts to feel like borrowed time. Each poem, another draft of your obituary, but on Sundays, it'd be testimony. Turnip greens and pine sol, or football, pre-rolls, and spades partners. This poem grew up in a freedsman town, but died in a sundown one. Shit, this poem was freed by Harriet, caught by the slave catcher and taken back to its master. But on a Friday night, on a payday night, this poem is Chitlin Circuit, Motown, and Harlem Renaissance. It is the way your body feels. Lost my spot. It is the way your body feels when you hear Whitney and Mariah harmonizing with a little Luther on the ad libs. Spiritual, goosebumps, and Holy Spirit. On any day, it is Black excellence, Black experience, Black existence, all with a capital B for broken bloodlines building new pathways, new branches on family trees that will not die out. This poem is too Black for its own good. Somehow, still not Black enough. I know it. I wrote it, rolled it up inside my suicide note and smoked it. It be survival and resilience, even when it don't want to be. But don't call it that. Just love it back soft again, like a Black woman. Hold it tight, because these poems, they don't always sound the same. But they always come out beautiful. Thank you, Josephine, for having me. Y'all go get her book. It's a beautiful, beautiful collection. Yes.
Thank you, Shaki. And Shaki, can you drop into the chat how we can get your work, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Like this is just such an amazing celebration. Like I thank Stacey so much for allowing me this time to share my new book with everybody, but me hearing these voices and these poems is such a gift. I'd like to end it up with a set dedicated to my mom and just a little bit more information. So you might be wondering why it's sideways. So the first reason it's sideways is because this was a photo that I had taken a few years ago. I was on a ferry going to Nelson, British Columbia, to visit my son. And you can't see it in this picture, it had to get cropped out, but the shadow, not the shadow, the reflection of the moon was glimmering on the water, and I thought the photo was beautiful. Reason one. Reason two is that some of my poems, they just don't fit. They don't fit standing up. They have to be lying down. So I thought, why not? And Marissa was very open to the idea of having the cover this way. So I would like to read 3 pieces. And before I do that, I will read the dedication in here, which is to my mother in all her phases, and most poignantly this one. So with COVID, 3 years, I didn't get a chance to fly back to Toronto to see my parents, but I would see them on WhatsApps and stuff. And when I did finally, when the restrictions were lifted and I flew, my dad had really declined physically, coming up to his like 90th year, and my mum had really declined cognitively. So that was a great big shock for me. And I'll read Briefly Gorgeous. So you might recognize Briefly Gorgeous, or either that or think I'm a genius. I am not a genius. Briefly Gorgeous is a title of a collection by Ocean Vuong, which I have shamelessly stolen. And the prompt that I used was a line from his collection, Briefly Gorgeous, that your name is only the sound of clocks being set back another hour. The second hand, the minute, the hour revolving counterclockwise as we rush to reunite with our past, our ancestors reverting, as it were. Dementia is like being 4 again, I was told, but I disagree. 4-year-olds can learn, will not touch the hot stove again, will not try to go down the stairs with a laundry basket in their hands, unable to hold on to the railing, unable to remember to hold on to the railing, unable to remember that they have fallen, that they are on blood thinners, that one more fall could land them on their back with a broken hip or worse, and that they should brush their teeth for more than 11 seconds, that the only tube left in the bathroom drawer is toothpaste, so they don't put polysporin on their brush or Voltaren, and that the faces in the photo album don't show only the living, but also those who have died. who have died. Died is a verb in the present progressive tense when your beloved mother is in the talons of this progressive, present, regressive disease. And the only thing you can do is keep her safe. Keep her safe and love her and let her know you love her. And keep her safe even at night when she wakes up to go pee and you squeeze your eyes shut, heart clenched, and you hope she makes it back to bed without falling. For it was only a year ago, only a year, that your father fell and you weren't there, but he fell and then the brain bleed and then he died. So you start to breathe again, shallowly at first, when you hear her getting back into her bed and hear her talk in that high-pitched, wordless voice she saves for night. She saves for talking to her dead. And the next one is a true story. So my mom, she lived with me for a year in Calgary, and then she's back in Toronto in a nursing home. My mother's speaking to my father. She speaks to him in her sleep, a little love-drugged voice that has retracted its barbs, its stabs, no longer demanding queen of her own destiny. Time has eroded all their little arguments, the clawed words that hurt me more, perhaps, than they hurt him, for he loved her despite. His words ringing in my head. Where's your mother? Take care of your mother. Just last week, when I called, was the first time she forgot he is dead. She told me she is preparing to go home, that she is waiting for him, that he promised it wouldn't be long, that he would help her. I know it is true. And the last poem, and thank you. The collection was all ready, and we'd done all the edits and all the formatting, and I wrote this coming home from a trip to Toronto, and I read it to Marissa, and she said, yeah, put it in. So this is the final poem.
It actually made me cry, and then I said, yes, put it in.
Yes, I know. I cried when I read it. And I typically, like, I can write all of this stuff and it doesn't make me cry, because for me, poetry is externalizing all of these really intense feelings that I can't deal with or I can't unpack. So poetry for me is almost like an airbag between me and the real feelings. But when I read this verse, I was crying. So I will try not to cry today. The kindness of combing. The last time I said goodbye to my mother, she asked if she could comb my hair. She hadn't since I was little, recalcitrant. It was curly and thick then, and it would have hurt, I think, though she would have put water on the comb. There is no clear memory. When I was little, she would pull it up from the crown and attach a rubber band to create like a little waterfall. I saw a little girl with her hair done like that in a grocery store in Toronto, where I had taken my mother to eat arancini and fettini impanati and an arrangiata from Sicily, followed by a cannolo filled with sheep milk ricotta. A dark-haired, dark-lashed girl with olive skin, and thought she could be me, a young me. My mother loves children and babies, and you can see the joy in her face as she looks at them and they smile at her. When I was young, I thought I looked like my dad because his hair and eyes and lashes are dark like mine. My mother red-haired and fair and freckled, green eyes, but now that her hair is gossamer, white, and mine turning silver, now that color is not so important, I am told I look like her. I look like her and I have freckles and not really olive skin, although I do tan like my dad did, and I didn't know it all along. Oh, I just wanted to add a word about olives. She stopped to take one from the deli as we walked the produce aisles, a green one with red pimento filling, and I was ready to take down anyone who would dare stop her. No one did. So the last time I said goodbye, she stood in her nursing home room, combing her hair, and asked if she could comb mine too. I didn't tell her I was going to be getting on a plane to come home and wouldn't see her again until the fall, for days and seasons mean nothing now. There is only the moment. And the moment she sees me, her eyes light up and she smiles. She knows I am family. Sometimes I am her daughter, Jojo, and sometimes I'm her sister, but that's okay because I know how much she loves her sisters. She knows I'm family and my kids flew out to see her too, and she knows they are family. She takes their hands and lets them lead her. She takes the food they offer and lets them change her into her nightgown. She doesn't like anyone else touching her or seeing her vulnerability, but she knows, Cor knows, we are family. She asked if she could comb my hair. I said yes. I sat on the edge of her nursing home bed and she gently moved the comb through, her touch tender and light. She made a scrima first, that is our name for the straight line, the part. Her hand soft and the comb did not tug, and she told me, my capelli are fini. My hair is fine, not coarse. That is age. Age softens us or hardens us. It has softened my mother and is softening me. The second last time, the time I said goodbye as she was leaving my house to go back to Toronto after more than a year with me in her dementia, kind and loving nonetheless, I combed her hair. I asked my sister to take a video so I would remember, but how? How could I forget? Thanks, everybody. So from the top all the way down to the bottom, but in no particular order because you're all very special and very dear to me. Stacey, our den mother, Marissa, publisher and amazing friend, Erica, Shelley, Shockey, who I met in New Mexico for the first time. Teresa, come on back. There's so much more mountain that I want to show you here. And thank you to our audience for listening, for everybody for being here. And if you are so inspired, would you please consider making a donation to the Tesoro Sisterhood? And keep safe, keep saying your words, keep living your truth. Thank you.
And I will say, Josephine, when your books arrived, my mother happened to be in my home, and I opened up the books with her, and she got the official first copy of your book because at the time she was caring for her husband, my stepdad, technically, but he was more like my real dad.
Yeah.
And he was hospice this year and died this summer. And so I am hoping your book um, gives her a little validation and support. So thank you for being brave enough to write it. I definitely know that it was meant to be here with all of us. So thank you for having space
I have
today.
everybody open up their mics and just throw Josephine all the roses and hearts and everything else that you can handle.
Josephine.
Go buy your book.
Awesome.
It's amazing. Go buy the Tesoro collection. Help us out.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
coming back to Canada. I am definitely coming back to Canada.
I haven't
I'm
been to Canada yet.
I'm
It
thinking
gives
about
me a
it.
reason.
We're
Somebody
all
was
invited to
listening.
take this whole
We got
group like
Canada
on
and
the
London.
road. So
Let's
we'll all
go.
head to
Absolutely.
Canada. How's that?
I got my passport. I'm ready.
Excellent.
Girl, who you telling?
I'm ready.
I've got the room.
Just tell me when. Just tell me when.
Yes.
That's it.
Whenever you'd like, you're welcome. And the crazier things go down there, the more welcome you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will
Yes.
bear that in mind.
Yes. Well, they accept me though. They may not like me. They, these
You'll be
Americans,
fine, Erica. You have
I'm
a K in
telling
you. You're all of it. It'll be fine.
It will be.
Thank you,
Josephine, my dear, thank you so much.
Thank you, Stacey.
Mad congrats on the book.
Thank
I know
you.
there are 100 more coming, and they will all be just as light bringing and fire singing as everything I have ever heard you do
Thank you.
or read. Thank
Thank
you
you.
again so
It's
much
my pleasure.
for this.
Hey, Shelly, I'm also coming back to Zocala.
You better.
I love that venue.
Wasn't that great?
There's some magic happening in
That is
that
a hot
that's for
venue.
sure.
I've been there twice,
That
and those
is a
people know how to
wonderful
party.
venue.
Yep.
I definitely, next time I'm traveling through, I gotta call you ahead of time.
There you go. For sure. I love that venue. It's going on 2 years in January. It's all been a wonderful blur.
Yeah. Wonderful.